Well, 2018 has been a long year. It's not over yet. And as it winds down, we're hearing which of the many stories were the most influential. So the World Almanac and Books of Facts throws together the top stories from news to sports to pictures. And here's a look at the top news stories for this year. So the only non-political subject is number 10, which is about the Olympics and World Cup. But here to break down the rest is Sarah Janssen, Senior Editor of the World Almanac. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell us how you guys put together this list for the top 10.
Well, the World Almanac editors are tracking the news all year long and basically just trying to keep up with everything. So much happened in 2018. It was sort of hard to look back to the beginning of the year and think, what just happened? I mean, we had the Olympics in 2018, and I can almost hardly remember what happened in the Olympic Games this year. So it was definitely a big process of just culling it all down and seeing what topics we thought actually were going to have an impact on the upcoming year as well.
Right, and they're just throughout all industries. It's like sports, music, movies, and then you loop in politics. It's like 2-3 years wrapped into just 2018. It's actually head spinning when you think about it.
It really is.
So we do have the midterms and immigration policy. They landed first and second on this list, but those topics gained much of their traction towards the end of the year. So how did they make it all the way to the top?
Well, you know, we are looking at not just the topics that had an influence throughout the year, like the Mueller investigation. We had new breaking stories just about every day, it felt like sometimes. But we're also looking at the stories that were going to have an impact in 2019. So when you're talking about immigration policy, that story really heated up in the summer, but it was happening and building steam all year long. And, you know, going forward, we're seeing new news today. We're seeing new news looking forward to seeing how temporary protected status is going to change, how DACA is going to change. So it's definitely something that we'll be keeping an eye on going forward as well.
Yeah, it's like a lot of these topics require a part 2 or even 3 at this point. So which of these topics weren't on the list last year?
You know, a lot of the stories that didn't make it to the top 10 last year included some of the international stories. Also, the Me Too movement really built steam at the end of last year, but it became more of a fruition coming forward in 2018. You had some actual legal consequences coming forward for people like Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, Larry Nassar. So these were moments in 2018 that actually saw that story pick up steam and create actual consequences for some of the accused.
Right. And are most of these stories that you guys kind of accrue to the top 10, are they usually tracked by social media or just the number of times they're found in like a search on Google in terms of articles?
You know, it's all of the above. We're looking at front page headlines, we're looking at back page headlines, we're looking at social media, we're looking at what's trending on Google searches. So we're trying to combine all of these resources because people do get their news in a million different ways these days. We're trying to look at all of these things to track what's going on throughout the year.
Was there anything on this list that surprised you guys? I'm pretty sure that's hard to do, but did this year do that?
You know, I can't say that there were any necessarily surprises in the top 10 news topics. I think actually a lot of people will look at the list and say, yeah, that looks about right, considering if they've been paying attention to the news at all. But I think what is always surprising is just how much happens throughout the year, how much we have to track and keep our eyes on. And that's certainly accelerated, not just in the last decade or so with social media, but really in the last year, it seems like it's really even more so picked up the pace.
Right. And if folks want to check out that entire list, where can they do that?
You can do that in a copy of the World Almanac, which you can pick up wherever books are sold. You can also go to our website, which is worldalmanac.com, and also follow us on social media. We've got daily new updates on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, so you can check out new daily facts there.
There you go, Sarah Janssen. Awesome work to you and the rest of the crew there. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.